So we are back, y'all. It is another episode of Oh Heck Nah, a Naked and Afraid podcast with your host, Malu Beyoncé and
Gabe.
And I'm excited to be back. What episode are we on? Because I'm ready to get started.
This is episode 5 of, I believe, 9, but don't take my word for that number. The second number, the 9.
It feels like kind of in the middle. This was a middle of the road, episode. So what was the most memorable part for you?
The most memorable part, probably how traumatized Wes has become, mainly the lion being near their
I don't know
shelter.
anybody named Wes.
Oh, sorry. Zaddy is traumatized, everybody. Poor Zaddy. We need to check his mental health. Where's Zaddy?
That's right. I was so concerned that I almost texted him and say, listen, if you're tapping, tell me now. But I resisted. But geez, I mean, it's kind of worrying me a little bit. So let's get started with that because we want to start with the most interesting things. And there's been a lot of danger in this episode. First off, let's talk about the snake skin that he found. That would have put me on high alert right there. I'm so glad they showed it.
Yeah, and it was kind of in the middle of the shelter, kind of like, I'm trying to like, there are the 3 walls, the open area, like in the middle of the open area under a cover area, there was the snake skin. So that snake was probably like, ooh, this fire is a wee bit warm. Okay, I'm just going to slither away. Or it was like, oh, look, some shade. I'm just going to shed my skin here and then slither away. But yeah, and then they gave the stuff about the black mamba is one of the deadliest snakes in the world, and it can bite several times. And then you just see the black mamba with its big eyes, just like, I'm going to get you. Don't mess with me.
Now, let's talk about how long it takes for a snake to shed its skin. So the process can take a couple of weeks, but the actual skin just like coming off, that could be an hour or a few minutes. So I was wondering, it could not have been in there shedding because they would have seen it. I think they just picked it up. It was probably stuck to like one of their wood piles. What do you think?
I think, oh yeah, because it probably was stuck to the wood, and when they picked up some of the wood to take it to the fire, it probably fell off, and then maybe not noticed it until later. So, and where we see the snake later, it kind of went to that area, so that makes sense. So I didn't see it that way. I just thought it went through, shed, and went out. But that your theory makes a lot more sense than in my head. So that's very enlightening for me.
Yes, I think it was probably on the wood. But let's talk about the video camera angle and what are you calling him, Steve? Telling him Snake. Oh my gosh, that was very fortunate that they caught that.
Exactly, because Wes wasn't even remotely looking the direction the snake was in, and Steven's like, there's a snake. It's right over there. Zaddy's like, what? But it kind of slithered in towards the wall, and then they're just kind of off to the side, and then it slithers back underneath the concrete slab. And so, but I thought that was very smart that they used the really hot ash and sprayed it a little bit in front of their shelter. So the snake's like, ooh, this is really warm. I'm just gonna flee this way. And so it's just like precaution kind of thing.
Cannot tell you the number of minutes and hours I spent every night when I was in Colombia worried about snakes. I was so worried that a snake would, I just cannot tell you, it's a real fear that I had out there. We killed a snake going into Colombia. They don't show us killing it, but we definitely killed a snake. If you look real closely, they'll show me holding the snake, but it's a real fear. And do you think his fear started with the skin or do you think it started with the actual snake?
I think with the snake skin, it was kind of a head on a swivel. I think he was like, or it's just like, okay, got to be a little bit more vigilant. And it wasn't until the actual snake was seen where it was just like high alert, like heart pumping, adrenaline flowing kind of thing. So I think it was definitely the seeing kind of thing, because it's like out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. It's like, oh, we saw the snake skin, but we didn't see the snake, so we should be okay. But then he sees the actual snake, and it's just like, huh. And I think with the lion before, that's just a lot of things coming at you at once. And so I applaud both of them for their mental fortitude after dealing with that.
So you jumped ahead to the lion part.
Oh, sorry.
So let's talk about, let's talk about the lion. That was some crazy stuff. Why did he go outside to see? I'm not 100% sure. I love the fact that they immediately said, you get that wall, I'll get this wall. But they did come out. I wonder how long this whole interaction took. And let's start over. I want to talk about how real you think this was. How close do you think this lion was? Tell me what you actually think happened, Gabe, please.
Think that, they heard the lion and maybe Wes wanted to get eyes on it because, the hole in the back of or the window in the back of the shelter, just trying to be like, okay, how close is it? Just to make sure, because, maybe they could be like, oh, we don't hear it. It's gone away. And then they pop out and boom, there it is. So maybe Wes just wanted to get eyes on it. Probably saw it at a distance. Probably
So tell me
saw it.
what you think happened.
Sorry.
You think they heard the lion and then they started shoring up the shelter and then later on they came out. Is that what you think happened?
Yes.
And you think they heard it growl?
Yes.
How close do you think it really was?
I'm not really good with distances. I know they said the rotten meat was about 75 yards away, but it didn't look like the line was near that. So within like 50 to 100 yards is going to be my
Do
best
you
guess.
think they saw the lion with their own eyes? Do you think they put eyes on the lion?
I think so. I think they did see the lion. Or at least they saw something moving that sounded like a lion in the distance and, didn't want to be like, oh, it's just some herbivore just walking through kind of thing. They just wanted to make sure. And then they treated the threat as a threat and was like banging on the sheet metal or wriggly tin, or as I believe Steven calls it, to try and scare it
Well,
away.
Well, so these are my observations. My number one observation with the lion ding dong ditch, I noticed that they yelled something like, there's a lion. And it sounded like they were yelling it to the producers. Do you think that the camera crew was present at the time of this lion?
I don't,
Think about the
uh,
cameras and the way everything was set up.
yeah,
Do you
because
think the lion was, yeah.
now that I'm thinking about it, we mainly only, of Wes and Steven, we only see GoPro and like stationary cameras that they probably put on a tree nearby. And then we see the camera kind of looking past a bush. So maybe camera people were nearby with the Rangers while Wes and Steve were probably in a little bit more of a vulnerable position. But
Okay. So do you know what timestamp that happened at by any chance with your notes? Do you kind of notice or do you remember when
I
it
do
happened?
not remember a timestamp. If I were, I would assume probably early afternoon to mid afternoon, since like
No,
the
I
summer.
mean on the show. I mean
Oh,
like on the timestamp of
oh,
of the show. Did it happen in the beginning, middle?
I would, here, let me see. I believe, looking at my notes real quick, it happens on day 16. So I assume within the first third of the episode is when that happened.
Okay, I'm gonna try to pull it up. This was the reason why I find this strange. And don't get me wrong, I 100,000,000% believe there was a lion. But I find it weird that there was no camera crew around. Were they on lunch break? Where was the camera crew? How unfortunate. How close did the lion get? There's so many questions that I have that I feel like the editors did not put in a succinct little package with the bow like they normally do. There was a lot here left for me to wonder. I just don't know how big of a threat it was. I know it scared the bejesus out of Zaddy, but and I think they have a right to be scared, but you can hear a lion growl from far, far, far away. You know that, right?
Yeah.
So I just wonder how close it was. Sometimes the editors even make it seem like it's closer than what it really was. And I feel like they really left this up to our imagination. What do you think?
I think so because, we see the lion and it looks like the cameraman is popping up from behind a bush, but Wes and Steven are just like GoPro and cameras on it. This may not have been how the lion acts specifically, but there was probably a lion nearby that they needed to scare away. And it was probably a very harrowing situation. And so they were like, here's some B-roll. This is how harrowing it was. But what the lion was doing in the show may not have been what the line was doing around Wes and Steven's shelter.
Oh, 1,000,000%, gay, because that lion that was like, grr, I'm gonna come after you. What? You talking to me? Grr. I mean, I think that
Sassy
was
lion.
B-roll because that lion was like, what? What'd you say? So I was just surprised about a couple things about the way they reacted. I believe it was 100% real. Wes told him to settle down. So I almost feel like Steve was giving the lion some challenging, what do you call it when you challenge the animal?
Or is it like posturing kind of thing? Or
Something. I don't think Zaddy liked it either. I'm surprised that they didn't start grabbing torches. I don't know what they were doing. I think some stuff was cut out. I actually think it might have been a lot worse than what the show made it seem, to be honest with you.
yeah, there are some times where it's like the B-roll footage of like, oh no, danger, but then the survivors are like, oh yeah, that was much worse. They were a lot closer than you think they were, but the cameras didn't pick it up, so just like you only got to take us at our word kind of thing. Yeah, that was I would have been
It was
like, I'm just
scary.
gonna stay in the shelter for the rest of my time here. Have fun, everybody, kind of
And
thing.
that brings me to my point. This is real danger. I am so tired of people saying that, oh, that wasn't the lion, that was the B-roll. Well, you know what? If I was a cameraman, I wouldn't be standing there looking at a lion taking camera footage of it either. So yeah, they're gonna miss some of it, but this is real. And I love Wes thinking, I have a family to go home to. And you can really see him in his mind thinking, like, is this worth it? Because this is real danger.
Yeah, there was a moment after the Black Mamba situation where he's talking to camera and the captions say like voice breaking like at the end of one of his sentences as he's talking in the shelter. So I'm sure mentally he's just kind of like internally just thinking through a few things in that moment, and it's just like, ooh, this is very real and very dangerous. Just gotta think through some things, plan ahead, all that good stuff. But good on
Yes.
them for staying calm.
So we need to have a real conversation. I stayed up late at night thinking about this. Do you think Zaddy would tap because of this being a real threat? I mean, seriously, do you think he would? I don't think it would be a very easy discussion because I think it would be really hard for almost any man or woman. I think it might be easier for a woman for them to be like, you know what? I'm going to tap out. This is way too real. I almost got bit by a snake. A lion's after us. I'm going to tap y'all. Peace out. Because of pride and stuff. What do you think?
I think that if he was by himself, then there would be a higher chance, but
Good point.
I but I think if even if he was alone, he may be like, I'm moving to see if I can find anybody else at the next water source. But I think since Stee is there and Stee is kind of like, he's jumping around, being excited about things, I think maybe Wes can like focus more on like, let me focus on mentoring and we'll make it through this together kind of thing. And it's like, I do have someone with me and we can watch each other's back. So I think that he may kind of emotionally dip a little bit, but I don't think there's a high probability of him tapping. But I think maybe he thinks about it a little bit.
Okay. I really like your honest statement about if he was by himself, the odds of him tapping because of the danger being real would be a lot higher. I agree with you. I don't know how real his thoughts are of tapping. If it's just something he's mentioning out loud once, would you tap? If this happened to you where there was a black mamba 1 inch away from your head, then a lion is so close to you, would you say, you know what, this is not worth it? I'm tapping.
Yes, but I also would have tapped hour one. So I don't know how much weight that holds. I'm just like, no, no, I would be the person from the season 2 episode where the person was like, I'm not even getting off the boat kind of thing. I'm just like, you know what,
Right.
bye. But if it was me, if I would have made it that far, I would have been like, Zaddy, Steven, I'm out. Bye.
Right. Can you imagine all the hate that you would get for tapping? I've thought about this. Would I tap? I think I would probably be proactive first. They set up that little alarm system, but that alarm system is not going to do anything for you. I have always thought about making a cage for shelter inside of my shelter because if a cage can keep animals out at the zoo, well, then it can probably keep the animals from getting to you in a cage. And I'm being dead serious. If I was in Africa, I would really like a cage. A lion does come, but it does no good if you're not in the cage and the lion comes while you're sleeping. So I don't know, but I would build a cage if I was in Africa and the threat was real.
And people say this is staged. It's not.
No. Oh, no, no.
That's
No,
terrifying.
it's not staged, 100%. So now let's talk about the threat at the end of the episode. That seems really scary. I knew they were going to leave us on a cliffhanger. I'm not happy about the cliffhanger. The editors have done it to me again. They're going to make sure I'm going to watch next week, which I was anyway. But, oh my God, tell me your thoughts on the end.
I mean, that lion was really adorable as it was like booping its snoot up against the camera. And well, again, it's very serious, and this is all very serious, and there's real danger. But the lion's just like boop, boop. What's going on here? And Teal and Wasp are like, we hear fur scraping against something. It's coming. It's coming for our mate. And so I'm sure everything will be okay. But for them at that moment, terrifying.
Terrifying. Like I said, I would need a cage. There's so many things I have to nitpick about every single one of these survivalists out there. I have some nitpicking to do. That was hecka crazy. Waz was scared. Teal was scared. I do think on this one. Now I have to wait to see what next week, but I don't think the lion footage that they showed was the lion that was there at their boma. We'll have to find out. Let's see what they show next week. But I'm on the fence about what that really was. And I don't think the noise that they played was the real noise. The initial noise that woke them up, that was the real noise. I would have jumped out of my skin and I would have put Waz in front of me and I've been like, what the heck was that? Agree or disagree?
I agree. I think it's just a matter of, again, the camera and audio not picking things up that the survivalists are hearing. Sometimes I guess they have to assume what it was and they're like, it's probably a lion. This is the noise that they probably made. I don't know if they talk to their survivalists like, is this the noise that traumatized you 918? Is this the noise that traumatized you
No,
918?
they don't do that.
Okay. So
They don't do that.
I think they probably just assume like, hey, that was probably a lion that's brushing up against part of your shelter and making noises out there. We'll just kind of insert this like filler image in there because if they use like the
I'm talking about
raw
the noise itself, the filler noise. They also insert filler noise because that noise I don't think was real at all.
yeah, and I think that if they put like the actual like video and audio that they did catch, it would just be Waz and Teal going, what was that? It feels like something like scraped up against the shelter somewhere, and it's just that, and then people will really be like, it's fake because it's like we can't see or hear it. It's fake. It never happened. It's like no, they need to give the audios and visuals to like represent possibly what was there.
Yes, and I understand that. I'm not faulting them at all. I'm just saying that I don't think the noise is matched up. I definitely think that was filler noise. But I cannot wait to see what happens next week. Scary stuff going on. Joe's shelter almost falling in. I think that was pretty scary because one of those panels could easily like slit your throat, your carotid artery, and you would bleed out. There's no way to call a medic at that point. And I'm being serious. That's what I thought. Am I just really gruesome? Did you not think that?
I did not think that. I just thought of like the panels like falling because they're so big. I just thought it would just be like boom and like fall on top of it. like fall on top of him, but like scrape on the way down or just kind of like fall off because I know like his door flew open and to like have kind of a relatable moment. I remember one time I was camping and I had like a cover over I was in a tent. I was comfy. I was not in the middle of Africa suffering like they are right now. But I had like a cover for my tent in case it rained and it was kind of windy that night and I didn't secure it really well. And so it would kind of like flap against my tent and that kind of kept me up because I'm like, oh no, what if the tarp part flew away? And so I can't imagine what he's thinking with metal scraping together in the wind. There was the part where the door fell open and it was just like
Yes,
very anxiety inducing.
it was anxiety producing, but I do want to tell you what I said is a possibility. That corrugated tin, it can slice you and cut you. So I'm not 100, I know, I'm not 100%
uh,
happy with that. Let's talk about something else that I thought was scary. Talking about how real this is and about Zaddy thinking about tapping out and Joe and the metal. If something did happen to you in the middle of the night, there's no way for the producers or for the staff, the cast, whatever you want to call them, to know. If for some reason something did happen to you and you weren't able to get to your radio, they wouldn't know. So this is very, very real. It even goes back to what you said if you're by yourself. If you're by yourself and you get bit by a snake and you don't make it to your radio in time, you're in a lot of trouble. So this is very real. I'm very scared. I noticed that somebody made a comment about the crocodile that was in Waz's and Teal's pond was clearly not the crocodile that they saw. It's not a big deal if they're using footage from something else. And sometimes they use footage that they went out when they were scoping. So sometimes they go out and they scope, 3 months beforehand and they get a lot of good footage and they use that in the episode. Just because it's stock footage does not mean it's not real. Quit saying that.
Yeah, and going back to what you were talking about, being by yourself and production not knowing, I believe Jamie talked about how one of the nights on his solo, he got hypothermia and production didn't know, and they didn't know until they saw the footage and were just like, if that something like that happens again, you need to tell us because it could have been very bad for him if he got hypothermia the next night or wasn't able to warm up afterwards because hypothermia is
It's
very
very
real.
It's very dangerous. I mean, it's very dangerous and very real. What else did you think was memorable from the show?
The Joe show, things that were memorable. Him with his ingenuity with or at least trying with the telephone pole and trying to make a ladder with the elephant. And then both him and then Wes and Steve separately coming up with the same idea to make kind of an alarm system. And I wonder if maybe before the challenge, the groups were told about maybe someone somewhere or said the term alarm system, like, we have all this metal lying around. We could probably build some stuff. And so I thought that was some interesting feats of ingenuity. So
I I don't think they told them beforehand. I think that if they had pants, they would just be scared off of them, and that's why they're coming up with those ideas. I think they're just honestly scared. And they both said, we need some kind of alarm system. It's not the first time they've made an alarm on this show. I've always thought that you should be able to climb a tree. I've said it before. And I love, like you said, Joe making that idea of, even though he wasn't successful, he's wasting a lot of energy. I don't think he's being too smart right now, Joe. I love you. Joe, I love you. But you're not doing some smart things. You almost passed out. I don't know how many times. That was just the times they showed. You are way too smart for this. I think they're just showing you at your weakest. I think you probably went and laid your butt down for a long time. But yeah, Gabe, he's almost passing out and he's doing way too much.
yeah, but I did think it was a little funny that moment where he's like, bleep, this bleep, and he's like, think the lightheadedness is causing me to swear. That's where that comes out. And I thought that was a funny moment. But yeah, there were, I think, 3 or 4 times where or maybe after the telephone pole, and then after making his alarm system, he's like, ooh, getting a little bit dizzy. Ooh, getting a little bit dizzy. And so I was just like, ooh, I really want him to make it all the way through. He needs to set the record for most days alone, but it's just like,
Yeah, I got a little worried there a few times. I was like, uh-oh, I'm getting a little worried. I'm still worried a little bit about him in the future. I don't know. Question. After he caught the terrapin, I'm going to call it a turtle. I'm country. After he caught the turtle and he was eating it, and it was such a small turtle. I've always wanted to eat turtle. He said something, I'm really happy that my trap worked. Did you remember him saying that?
yeah, he also said, I can't remember the last time I had catfish during this
Right,
episode.
right. So about the trap, that really wasn't his trap, was it? I mean, like, I know I'm not trying to make something into nothing, but I'm a little confused. This is not me making issues. But that was Amber's trap, right? He didn't build another trap, did he?
That was Amber's trap, but since she's gone, does he inherit it and now it's his trap kind of thing?
Yes.
Because or just, and I don't think he's like my bow. He could be like Amber's bow, but I think with the trap, it's kind of like if you find it out there and you didn't necessarily buy it, you don't really own it. So he could be like my trap, but Amber
Yeah, I
was
was
the
just a
one who
little
made.
confused.
Okay.
That's all. I just didn't know if he had made something different and I missed it somehow, even though I watched the show 3 times. But that little turtle was so small, but he was eating it up like it tasted so good. But at least it was bigger than those scorpions. Those scorpions were a fail. They did so much energy to eat dirt. I do not think that was wise.
But they do have a good amount of protein per weight than a lot of other animals. So he gets some proteins, he got some protein, but definitely needs a lot more calories.
Yeah, I almost feel like it wasn't worth it. Them out there finding the holes, digging the holes in the sun. How many total scorpions did they get?
I know Stephen Lee Hall Jr., Alexa, and Frank got 9 scorpions total, so 3 each if they
Okay, so
divided
hang
them
on.
up.
Because you said there's more weight, which is great. I mean, there's 50% more protein in a scorpion than other animals. But I mean, you would have to have 100 scorpions. That's just my opinion. What happened to all their food? I think it went to waste and they're not mentioning it, but they had a whole animal of Frank's and they ate it all already? I mean, they had his big kill. Why are they wasting all this energy on scorpions?
Maybe it could be editing where it's a little bit farther down the line where that was happening than what maybe they do have jerky, but they're storing it maybe in their bags or something. But
Okay, so if they're storing jerky for emergencies, them going after the scorpion was not a smart idea because they used up way too much energy to get those scorpions if they still had jerky. I'm just saying, but if it's an editing trick, I mean, did you not think about that when they were getting the scorpions? Did you not say, "Well, where's all their meat?" You didn't think about that?
it was not. And another thing it could be is like, hey, we don't want to just sit around the shelter all day. Maybe let's go out and explore kind of thing. But yeah, are searching around, like getting 9 scorpions. We don't know how long they were out there for. There's a point where it's like, it's not really worth it. We're spending a lot of energy. Or maybe they had a
Yeah.
bunch of energy from the me and they're just like, we'll just roam around and explore and stuff because
No, they
Frank's
lost all
like,
that energy with the rain, shivering. So let's
yeah.
talk about Alexa. I'm so glad that she did not tap. They showed her like, "Oh, I love you and I love you." And I love that little segment. And I think she was coming back from her stand up and she had been crying. They're like, "Hey, you okay?" I knew that they were going to show support for her. Frank says that he feels bad and he feels like he's failed or he's let her down. And I think are they purposely trying to make Steven look bad? Because they're not showing him giving her a lot of support. Even though I'm I know he did.
I I don't know. I just remember her sitting down and I noted him being like, we love you, Alexa. And maybe he
Mhm.
was just cold and tired, but I think based on the editing, they are probably propping Frank up and leaving out a lot of Steven's commentary about the situation and kind of like be like, look, we have a legend in the making here because I know the fans are like, we need new legends. So I'm sure it's just editing magic with Frank and Steven is concerned. And I don't know if they're trying to make him look bad, but
Mm.
it based on some of the fan perception, people are like, what is Steven doing? Kind of
Yeah, I
thing.
saw one of those posts too. They were like, "Well, I wanted to be on Steven's camp, but I'm changing my mind." So I don't think the producers, the editors are doing it on purpose, but inadvertently, they're making him look a little bad. But don't get it twisted, y'all. I'm sure he's doing way more. You got to remember, you're not seeing everything. But yeah, that was a bad idea about the whole scorpions. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna call it bad idea. I don't care. It was not enough. And plus, scorpions taste like dirt. What else was memorable for
Uh,
you out of this episode?
what was memorable for me was Waz's humility and Teal's bad A-ery. I don't swear, but she was a BA kind of thing because Waz like, hi, I saw Last One Standing season 3. Let's go practice with the bow and arrows. And Teal's like, okay. And so they're shooting, and Waz is like, Teal's really good at this. Maybe she should do the hunting. And he's like, hey, I think that it would be a better idea for you to hunt because we have a higher chance of success about it. And Teal's like, okay, we'll see. And so I thought that was
Well,
nice to
that was
see.
great.
Yeah, I that the partnership is working out really well, and Waz is very observant, and I think he's a good mentor. And Teal is like, oh, I don't know. And he's like, yeah, why don't you go and try it?
Yeah, Teal girl. I don't know what she was doing, but you can shoot. Why you didn't take the lead? I want you to be stronger, louder, because you can rule the world. You can definitely rule naked and afraid. You were on point, and it bothered me, Teal. I'm not going to lie to you. It bothered me when you were like, let's rock, paper, scissors this. No, you say, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to take a shot. I'm pretty good at this. I think it's a fine line between being like bold and brazen, and whenever a woman is like, no, let me do it, they get a bad reputation. So maybe that's why, I don't know. But the rock, paper, scissors was too much. He said that you're better. You'd be like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I think that's what she should have said.
Yeah, I don't want to put words in her mouth, but she did seem very hesitant. I have practiced with a bow and arrow a lot, but not hunting game and stuff like that. So I can see her hesitation and kind of the fear of seeming like she's bragging and then not succeeding immediately. But I also don't want to put words in her mouth. But
Well,
I'm
I will put words in Gabe's mouth. Teal, you are a bad AB, and we love you. And you rock that, and you own it because you are amazing. Don't doubt yourself. Stand up, and you have outbeat a lot of men on this show. So don't do that again, right, Gabe? I put words in your mouth, but that's okay, right?
Yeah, yeah, you're correct. And yeah, and I know she was a little down after she saw the animals, and it was so sad because you could see the animal look directly at her right as she's about to shoot. And I was just like,
It was so close.
oh, yeah. And, you know, that reminds me of an XL6 when, all those animals were by the blind, but Boulent wasn't near. And Gwen was like, those animals were right there. How could you do this to us, Boulent? We're not eating because of you. And Sarah and Gwen are like, get out. And Boulent's like, whatever. But
Yeah.
going back to Teal and Wise, I think, and also was kind of encouraging her and not and being like, oh, fine, if you don't want to do it, I'll do it. I'm better than everybody. He wasn't like that. He was like, why don't you like go on and try? You can do it. And just encouraging her. And I thought that was nice of him. And so after that, there are a little bit later on.
Was, you are a bad A boy for supporting Teal the way she needed to be supported, and you go on with your bad, sexy self. This is why you're a 10.0, and we love you for that too. I don't want to leave Waz out because Waz is pretty
Yeah.
amazing, and he does deserve that little pump up for being so great, like you're saying, Gabe.
Yeah, I don't. Sometimes when I'm trying, or the thing before you speak, I'm in the moment where I'm just like thinking about what to say, and it's like just say something, stop hesitating. But yeah,
You're
and
great. You're great.
thank you.
I saw some rage baiting on one of the Facebook pages talking about how Teal, shot a defenseless baby animal. Give me a break. We're not falling for rage baiting up in here. We're not going to do any of that. Talk about her beautiful kill that provided sustenance for her team.
I'd like to preface by saying Teal, I believe, did make a comment saying that the Diker was not a juvenile. It was actually an older individual, and people are still like, "Oh, it was small, so that means it was a juvenile." It's like, no, that's about the size that they get. And Wise spotted it off in the distance, and instead of being like, "I'm gonna grab the bow," he's like, "Hey, Teal, there's something up there." And he says juvenile, but the one time people believe what the survivalist says, but he also said, I think it's a juvenile, but it was not. And so he's like, hey, or hi, Teal, why don't you grab the bow and go up there? And so she's approaching. We get her inner monologue, and she's just like, I don't know about this. Like, it's not really moving. And she goes, she takes the shot, and she dispatches the elderly Diker successfully. And
Yes,
and
it was beautiful.
and unfortunately, she's kind of emotionally drained by the whole situation, and that may be kind of one of the reasons why she was. I don't want to put words in her mouth, but that may be a reason why she was a little bit hesitant because she does say, I know where my food comes from, but this is still really difficult. And luckily, Waz is there to be like, it's okay. I'm here to support you. We'll make a
Oh, no,
plan.
that is not how he said it. That's not how he said it, Gabe. He was like, I thought Waz was a little like, hey, this is part of Naked and Afraid. I'm just telling you, that's the way I thought he said it. I like the way he said it, but he
Oh.
wasn't he wasn't hold handing in my point of view.
I like to make things like, oh, it's okay. They were like this. And he's like, all right, let's make a plan. It's okay. You got this. Pick yourself up by the bootstraps. We're going to process this thing. I'll carry it back. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to do this. We're going to hang it on the tree and we're going to process it. And
He
it was,
kind of was like that. He was kind of like, all right, this is part of Naked and Afraid. I'll start it off since you're feeling a little emotional. I think on his face, he was a little shocked that she was so emotional. At one point, he was like, you good? Like, but I
yeah.
was like, yeah, he's not understanding it. This is a highly emotional event for her. But I think he handled it just right. I don't think she needed a lot of hand holding. She had her space and she was able to come to terms with it on her own terms. And I'm glad that he didn't coddle her. And I'm glad.
That reminds me of the meme where it's like parents in the animal kingdom and their babies, and some of them it's like, oh, it's okay, I'll protect you. And with birds, it's like, fly, B word, and they're kicking them out of the nest. Waz was kind of like, fly, B word, but did like a gentle kick off the nest. And also there was someone who tried to get kind of a rage baity post on the True Fans page, and they also spelt Waz's name wrong. They said Oz instead of Waz. Sorry to shout you out if you're listening. Sorry to put you
No,
on
what did
blast
they
right now.
say? What did they say about my Waz, the
Well, they
wonderful Waz?
well they were basically saying that he's acting the same way he did back in LOS 1, basically saying that people are hunting for him, that he's basically making Teal hunt for him is the implication. So, or someone on another post on another page was like, did we forget about the multiple fish he caught during the beginning of the challenge where he was with the net and was catching fish, and how he caught a piglet with his bare hands on his first challenge kind of
Yeah,
thing?
don't mess with Mr. 10.0 Waz, and don't mess with his jungle wife Teal, because she's killing it. And this is the team. Waz, I didn't choose to be on his team though, did I?
No, we chose Zaddy, Steven, and Miranda at the beginning, but we're both like, do we want to rethink this kind of
No,
thing?
I'm gonna stay
Yeah.
with Zaddy. I need to support
Okay.
Zaddy right now. I'll be there for him. But yeah, they're killing it. Great, great kill. I thought everything about it was better. I think they learned a lot from their smoker the first time. We touched on this before, and I led you back another direction, and I'm sorry about that. But let's talk about their meat. I don't showed it, but they wasted a lot of meat. Did they not from their first kill? They just didn't
Yeah,
show it.
yeah, I think, yeah, we see Waz dumping a bunch of it. And I think what also happened is they saw like the inside of the meat was going bad. So they immediately ate the outside of the meat because we
Mhm.
saw them like eating bits of it. So they probably tried to eat as much as they could and got rid of the rest. So there was a good
Mhm.
chunk, but they could use it for fishing in the future potentially.
Yes, and I'm gonna write that down because there's something else I want to say about that. Let me just write this down, okay? Because you made a point you always have these great points. So this time they were a lot smarter. I did not criticize them as hard as I should have the first time because I thought we were gonna get to it. But yeah, your smoker the first time and you knew it was rainy, you knew it was gonna be out there. You should have rethought your situation and brought the meat inside or something like you did this time, because they're like, yeah, we're bringing the meat inside this time. Didn't criticize you too bad for it the first time, but good job on, changing it up. Now let's move on to something that I forgot about. And I think this kind of goes for everybody. I know that you want to use some of that rotty flesh for fish bait. I understand that. But you know where you are, people. Why don't you wrap it up in something, y'all got stuff there, and bury it real deep or something far away and burn the rest? Why aren't they burning the innards and all the stuff that they're not using? I guess because the smell will attract animals. I don't know, but I think just leaving it there to rot is making it even a bigger threat. What could we do? Do you agree or disagree that they're just letting it rot too close?
I mean, it really depends on the distance away because it may be further, or maybe it could be used as a deterrent because they're like, oh, there are animals that come to our shelter anyway. We'll just leave this far away over here. And we don't necessarily see exactly what they're doing with it, but I think just leaving it there might not be the best choice, but I don't
Someone
know.
said we have dead meat on both sides of us. I think it was your boy, Steve. I think he said that we have meat on both sides, on two sides of us. Do you remember him saying that? I just don't understand. It doesn't sound like the smartest thing to do. And do you remember in one episode, and I believe it might have been Gary Golden, he got mad and got into an argument with his teammates because he thought the dead meat was too close. Do you remember that? Who was it that got upset? If you can remember, we're going to post this. The first person to post the episode of the season and around the general timestamp of what I'm talking about, I will send you a West cookbook for free. Somebody got really upset because the carcass was too close. I think it was Gary. You don't remember that?
I don't, because he would have eaten it.
Well, maybe it wasn't Gary, but somebody was like,
But
I know what I'm talking about. I've been doing this for a long time. It's too close. I don't remember who said it. Anybody who says it, I will send you a free cookbook from Zaddy.
yeah, and darn it, I have this not I have the trivia, but it's just the quotes that always stump that you could be like, who said the quote? The savage strikes again. I'll be like, Bill, and people will be like,
And Andrew Shade, I know you keep notes. You can't enter this drawing. Jurassic, you can look at his
yeah.
Jurassic Park, but Andrew Shade,
Do,
you cannot
do,
enter
do,
this.
do,
Somebody
do, do,
has to
do,
know
do,
what I'm
do.
talking about. We'll make a little clip there. We'll make a little reel and put it in. I love the fact that Steve and Zaddy have meat still. You know, he's real proud of his meat. I did not love their alarm system. I think they need to build something where the lions can't get in. I mean, it's great that you know they're coming, but if they can still get in, what's the point of knowing you're about to die? I'm just saying, I need more than an alarm. I need protection. That makes sense, does it not?
It does make sense.
So this episode was not warm and fuzzy for me. It was a little bit warm and fuzzy with Teal, but now they're getting stalked by a lion, and I'm just freaking out.
Yeah, Joe's dealing with an elephant. Steven is dealing with the fact that people think that Frank is more of a legendary legend than him. He probably doesn't care, but the edit is showing Frank in a better light, and Frank is out making snare traps and hunting for scorpions, and so. But they did get their canopy together. It's
I didn't
another
like it.
thing.
Did you like their canopy?
Oh, we didn't talk about the door.
Yeah, the door falling. See? Carotid artery, people. What is wrong with y'all? Carotid artery. I did not like it. It was too high. It didn't make sense to me. Make it make sense, Gabe. Make it make sense.
I guess they were just kind of like, here, let's make some shade with the branches. I thought they would need a lot more branches because Steven and Alexa are like, one branch, two branch. But maybe what they could do is they could tag team chopping down tons and tons and tons of branches. And then while someone is chopping branches, have someone like throw it all on top to like completely cover it. Because it seemed no, or we might have seen the final product, but it just looked like with the few branches they had, it's like there could be a lot more that could be happening
If
with
it
this
rains
cover.
again, the way that it rained before, and she was so cold, what they built would not provide her any warmth. They need something. I don't know. I don't even understand what the point of that is. They said I know they said shade at one point. They could have taken all those branches, made a platform, made a small teepee that's covered up for night when it's cold if it rains again. What they built would not protect them from rain, in my opinion. What do you think?
I agree. And what they could do is they could have taken the steel door and put it. I don't, it probably might not have fit on the two cars, but at least put it on top of the two cars so water doesn't like trickle in. Or they could have made something where it could be like an A-frame, but it would need to be really secure since it's a giant door. But at least like you can use the door, just don't like put it up super super high or just like prepare for the rain again. It doesn't look like they're preparing for rain again, and maybe they think
They're
that
not.
the rain is over, but
Well, maybe
I,
the rain
I
is over. I don't know, but you never know in these kind of situations. And Frank is literally saying that I feel bad because the shelter was not great, and you still don't have a great shelter. Everybody's shelter is sucky, and I'm gonna say it's sucky because I still think a lion would be able to get in. The closest one would probably be Zaddy's and Steve's shelter. They're probably the safest. They could do some more adjusting on that, but I think they're the safest. But the reason why I'm saying that they're sucky is because I would be afraid of the lions and the elephants. I don't think you can do anything about the elephants. Would you sleep in those? Do you think they're safe? Be honest. I know we don't like criticizing, but we're not criticizing the survivalists. What I'm saying is the shelters are not secure enough.
I agree. If I had to choose one, probably Stephen and Wes's shelter. I think that maybe I don't know. I want to say maybe we're not seeing like the Boma-esque part of the shelters where they probably have like lots of thorny branches and stuff. But if and I know Alexa said that lions are safety cautious. If it looks like it could hurt itself, it wouldn't go. But they're still, I don't know. It feels like they could do more, but maybe they just don't have the energy to do more. Or they're like, this is good for now. Nothing has gone super wrong.
Well, just like, let's just say Joe, for example, okay? If I was Joe, see, you can't do it. You can't do it. I was going to say that tube would be the safest thing to get away from a lion. But it's too far away for him to run in there and protect himself from the lion. I I don't think a lion would come after Joe in his shelter, but it would knock it down if it did, right? It's not strong enough. If a lion pounced on it, it's not going to keep it out.
But maybe since it's all made of metal, the lion may like try to jump on it and be like, ow, my paw, and just like run away. But
Maybe. I'm sorry, guys. I don't mean to criticize your shelter so bad. It's just that it looks really scary out there, and this is real. And if I didn't think it was real, then I wouldn't be complaining about your bomas, your shelters for safety. With that being said, we do know that was until survive because they're on social media. However, what do we have in store for next week?
next week, we have Heckscape of the Dam, spelled Dammed. Wes and Steven break. Yeah, sorry. Wes and Steven brave croc-filled waters to build a fish dam and get their first fish catch of the challenge. Teal and Waz use a mosquito net to catch 6 terrapins. A heat wave has both Frank and Joe on the brink as medics assess if they can continue.
Frank and Joe?
Yes.
They gave a lot of information in that. I mean, why are you giving us so much information? They catch 6 turtles. Where did they get a mosquito net from? I don't remember them having that.
Teal brought it.
Okay. And Frank and Joe, I'm worried about Joe. I'm not going to text them. But I want to text them. But I'm not going to. This is so scary. But this is what makes Naked and Afraid so good. Please make sure you like, follow, subscribe, because it's only going to get better, because next week is even better than this week. I'm Malu Beyoncé and
Gabe.
Thank you so much. What's your famous advice for us? Because I need that advice.
Don't send hate to any of the survivalists. Support your faves.
That's your famous. I mean, that should be your tagline because I think it's very smart. Speaking of that, I saw someone kind of being rude about Joe and how he squints his eyes. That is rude. I don't like it. Gabe, what do you think about that? Did you see what I'm talking about?
I see what you're talking about, and a lot of people have been asking, but I know some people are saying, oh, he probably did something and injured his eye because he's Joe, and we don't like him because he argued with Kel in episode 1, and we're going to hold that against him without knowing everything that was going on out there, and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, but I have an update because Joe himself has answered why he squints his eye out there occasionally.
Okay.
So on Facebook, he responded to someone asking about his eye, someone who is commenting in not a mean way. He said,
so Joe said it was kind of like a birth defect, and so you definitely should not be commenting on it. To be honest with you, I thought it was an eye condition, but it doesn't even matter if it wasn't. Don't call him names.
Yeah, let's slow down and stop the Joe hate train and just like appreciate the fact that he's doing this by himself.
He's been smart in a lot of different things. Did you see how close Joe was sleeping to that fire, and then Alexa putting that log on the fire and the fire falling down, and Frank
the
comes
wind
and puts a little fire out? Yeah, y'all. Y'all are driving me crazy.
I also wanted to mention, at least there was a video that the Naked and Afraid social media page released where Kel and Miranda said different, or they said they tapped on different days than what was shown, because Miranda said she was med tapped on day 6, but during the episode she was med tapped day 5, and Kel said she lasted to day 11. And so I'm just like, what an interesting discrepancy there.
I always
Uh,
give the survivalists the benefit of the doubt, right?
yeah, and so
So
on my
we're gonna go with
recap, it
there.
says, yeah. So it's just interesting to see, but I guess editing, storylines, whatever. But okay, so
All right. So Gabe, I'm so frustrated. So do you have a game today to play to lift my spirits?
I do. I have the
Okay.
Select a Survivalist game in which I give Malu a list of 4 survivalists and she can choose 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 survivalists she wants to see come back, and I can say they can come back for this or just in general. But I'm hoping that you can pick 2 because one of them is someone you really want to come back. So I want to give the other 3 a little bit of a chance. But
Okay, I'm ready.
okay, so the 4 survivalists: 1, Victor, aka Handsome Santa; Sarah Wiley, the winner of the Excel survey that I posted not too long ago, but she also really wants to come back. And then 3, Drew Bishop, who is very knowledgeable, and I think that he would be a great survivalist to return and show off his skills. And number 4, Jesse Lee.
Did you say Jesse Lee? Because you know I love Jesse Lee.
Yeah, that's why I said you would probably have to pick 2 from this list. But yeah, just number 4, Jesse Lee.
Okay. This is really hard. I mean, this is so hard. I mean, Jesse Lee, number 1, duh. And I'll go into a whole rant about her beautiful behind. But between the other 3,
Who do you choose? Handsome Santa, Sarah,
you mean
or
sexy
Andrew?
Santa? Okay, I'm cutting out Sarah. Sarah, you're out. Now it's between Andrew and Victor. I'm going to say sexy Santa, aka Victor, because we don't really know what he's got. I mean, we know what he's got personally, but we didn't get to see what he's really got on his show because they were in a horrible location. And I think he's capable of way more. And I want to see him go out there and give it a shot. So, sexy Santa and Jesse Lee, I love you. I think she is my number 1 to come back of all times. I would choose her above EJ. I know that's a bold statement to say, but when it comes to somebody who has what it takes to be, if there was a Miss America Naked and Afraid, I think Jessie Lee would be the winner because she just has so much endurance and heart and strength, and I want to see her back. And yes, I'm biased. I don't care. Now, I'm going to make a game for you, Gabe. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. One of the survivalists on Naked and Afraid Apocalypse has to go tonight. Who do you choose? They have to go. Who is leaving?
Oh no, this is like on RuPaul's Drag Race when they're like, who would you like to see go home tonight and why? Well, I'm going to start out with those who I don't want to see go right now. I don't want to see Joe go because it's the Joe show. I think we need to keep Waz and Teal together. I think we need to keep Frank, and we need to keep Wes. So I think that leaves Alexa, Stephen Lee Hall Jr., and Stephen Kelly. Oh no. I would like to preface this by saying I'm not a survivalist. I don't know anything about survival. All these people are amazing. But I think for something that could throw a wrench into one of the teams, and I would like to see this dynamic, I would eliminate Stephen Lee Hall Jr. from the competition.
Really? I think that's a great choice because of, like you said, the dynamics would change and everything. He has plenty on his belt. You were saying like you want to see Frank and Alex like really step it up and see how they survive without him, correct?
Of your wisdom, oh wise Stephen Lee Hall Jr. And I think something,
Yes.
and a close second would probably be Stephen Kelly, just because.
That's who I chose Steve. I want
Okay.
Steve to go home, and let me tell you why. I want Steve to go home because I would like to see Zaddy out there by himself to put that more pressure of being afraid. I mean, this is Naked and Afraid. And how afraid do you have to be to tap when you are a legend like Wes. So I would like to see that dynamic. Is that crazy to say? It is. To see Zaddy out there naked and afraid the way he is right now with all these threats, I think would be really interesting. And you brought up a good point earlier.
Oh gosh, can you imagine on Last One Standing if it's like, for your challenge today, or whoever gets first is immune, but everyone else must come to a group consensus on who they think is the weakest and who should go home. And Jeff
We
cannot be a
talked
part of that
about that.
season. Yeah.
We talked,
What?
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that would be so interesting. The alliances would be a lot different with that. Good luck to Joe. Send love, not hate. And we're out.
Bye.